Welcome back to CBS Sports HQ. You know, we should have known Mac Jones was going to have a big night when he walked in with that red and black suit on Thursday Night Football. With the depleted Niners roster, he threw for more than 340 yards, 2 touchdowns in their overtime win against the Rams on Thursday night. His stock about as high as it's ever been, and here's why. Because in those 3 starts this year, he's completed more than 66% of his passes, averaging more than 300 yards per game. His passer rating 99.1 and his TD to interception ratio 6-1. He's protecting the football. Great investment by the Niners to bring him in to back up Brock Purdy. And Ryan Wilson, who's no one, and I mean no one's backup, that's for sure, rejoining us now here for a little NFL trade deadline talk. The deadline is about a month away, November 4th at 4 p.m. So basically, we've got a little time for teams to still make their calls and do their due diligence. But how robust of a market do you think Mac Jones has right now, considering how he's proving he can absolutely not only just play in this league, but start?
Hey, good to see you again, Mike. So the Mac Jones story is a funny one. Me and producer Boney, he's a Patriots fan, spent a lot of time texting last night as Mac Jones was balling out like he was Alabama Mac and doing some of the things we had not seen at any point during his pro career. And I think the takeaway for me is this. Fit matters. And we talk all the time about Shanahan and Kevin O'Connell, even Sean McVay to an extent, getting the most out of their quarterbacks. And I think Mac Jones is a shining example of that. That said, there are teams that need quarterbacks, certainly a few around the league that are suffering injuries as we sit here and might be interested in McCorkle Jones coming their way. The sticking point, the mitigating factor is that this San Francisco team is different because it starts with the head coach, Kyle Shanahan. The offensive line can protect Mac, and that's something he struggled with at New England at times, and they have playmakers, even though 3 of their best playmakers weren't on the field last night. You still have Christian McCaffrey. Kendrick Bourne looked like New England Patriots Kendrick Bourne in his prime last night. So I think you may get some phone calls, but I also think that Shanahan and John Lynch will hang up the phone. They have Mac on a 2-year deal for $7 million, and Brock Purdy's been banged up. And if Brock Purdy can't play, you don't want to go into a game with Adrian Martinez, who has never taken a snap for the San Francisco 49ers as far as I know, when you have Mac Jones, one of the best quarterbacks in the league in the year of our Lord 2025.
When Mac Jones got up off the field after it looked like he got hurt, I don't think anyone was happier than Adrian Martinez when he jogged off the field back to the sideline. All right, let's keep the QB conversation going here. Do you think Kirk Cousins is going to get moved, or should the Falcons keep him around as Michael Penix continues to develop?
I don't think so, Mike, because where would he go? And we don't know what he looks like now that he's more than a year removed from the Achilles injury that certainly hampered him physically last year before he was benched. And, you know, the Cincinnati Bengals certainly need a quarterback. Are you going to pay the premium that it requires to get a middle-aged Kirk Cousins to replace Jake Browning, who hasn't been great, but neither is going to come close to what Joe Burrow was giving you in terms of productivity? So I think he's probably staying put. And you can argue whether the jury's out yet on Michael Penix Jr. I think he played pretty well in his last outing. He has struggled. He's been up and down. He's only in his 2nd year and hasn't had that many starts. And I think they're going to stick with him until they figure this thing out. But I don't know of a team in dire need of a quarterback as we sit here because of injuries or otherwise that would move on someone like Kirk Cousins because of the price and the uncertainty. And you might even feel a little bit better about someone like a Russ Wilson, for example, than Kirk Cousins, or the aforementioned Mac Jones if you really want to go all in and put yourself in position to win a Super Bowl.
All right, let's talk about another team that's got a lot of questions. The Jets haven't won a game yet. They're 0-4 to start the season. Running back Braylon Allen is out for a few months. So where does that leave Breece Hall? Do the Jets stick with him? Do they move him? He's going to hit free agency next season. Do they try to get something for him before he potentially hits the market?
Yeah, they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. He's in the last year of his rookie deal, the former 2nd-round pick. I would be all in if I'm GM Darren Muji in his first year in New York and moving some guys, or at least answering the phone and having serious conversations about potential trades because this team is 0-4. They desperately need a quarterback, and I would be trying to gather as many assets as possible looking forward. They're not going to win enough games to be above 500 this year. It doesn't look like. They're certainly not going to go to the playoffs. They're not going to be a challenger in that division. I would think long and hard about moving someone like Breece Hall because at least you get something in return. If he leaves in free agency, that's it. He's gone. Maybe there's a comp pick in your future, but that just depends on how his future plays out elsewhere. If I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, I would certainly give Darren Muji and the Jets a call to see what that looks like. They haven't quite gotten their running game going yet. You could argue they need wide receivers, but they're going to get some of those wide receivers back. They got Xavier Worthy back. They will get Rashee Rice back in a few weeks. And I think adding a piece like a Breece Hall to the running game would help not only the quarterback Patrick Mahomes, but help that offensive line, which has struggled at times in pass protection.
All right, let's talk buyers and sellers. You kind of just mentioned there that the Jets basically trying to maybe accumulate some assets here. Who else would be sellers in your mind in the NFL?
Yeah, certainly the Jets, and I think they would take offers on every player. It doesn't mean you're moving on from Quentin Williams or Sauce Gardner, but you'll at least entertain what someone might say on the other end of the phone. The other team that sort of got my interest were the Cleveland Browns. David Njoku was the last year of his deal. He's on his second contract. He's currently the second leading receiver on that team behind rookie tight end Harold Fannin Jr., but I don't know if they're going to bring Njoku back. They have a ton of needs. Quarterback, we'll see by Dylan Gabriel, and also they have to shore up that wide receiver room. You could trade Njoku to a team like, say, the 49ers, who, as we mentioned, George Kittle has been banged up. Brandon Ayuk is not yet back from that ACL tear from a year ago. And you can never give Mac Jones / Brock Purdy too many weapons. So I think the Browns could be in the business of looking to move on from guys. It doesn't mean they're giving up on the season. They need to find out what they have in their quarterbacks, whether it's Dylan Gabriel, rookie, or Shedeur Sanders, their fifth-round pick, who's also a rookie, because they have 2 first-round picks going into next year's draft. And, Mike, you can guarantee that if this quarterback group does not work out in Cleveland, they will be drafting one at some point in late April.
What about teams that will be buyers? Because in about a month, we're going to start really, I think, gaining that separation of who are for real playoff contenders and who aren't. So who might be at the top of your list for who might want to go out and add for that playoff push?
Yeah, let's go to the NFC and 2 teams that immediately came to mind. The Philadelphia Eagles have been hit or miss in terms of consistency. They're still undefeated and the best team or one of the best teams in the conference and in the NFL. But they need some edge rush help. We know about the guys in the middle that clog things up and how they played so well over the course of this season. But what about Trey Hendrickson coming from Cincinnati to be some edge rush help for that Eagles team? And Trey has not been happy in Cincinnati the last 2 years. They gave him a slightly reworked deal for 1 more year on his current contract. He wants to get paid. I think he deserves to get paid even though he's 30, and he would go from a team that is listless as we sit here without Joe Burrow to one that has a chance to win the Super Bowl each and every year. Another team that came to mind were the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Maybe Jacoby Myers, who wanted a new deal in Las Vegas, didn't get it. Mike Evans has been banged up. Bucky Irving's not going to play this week. And they could certainly use some wide receiver help, both in the short term while Evans is out, but also in the long term. Emeka Egbuka is going to be truly special, but Jacoby Myers is a production machine, and he can do all the dirty work underneath as Baker Mayfield continues to sort of refine himself after leaving a situation in Cleveland and Carolina and the Rams that didn't quite work out, and he's found his home in Tampa Bay.
You're really going to put Trey Hendrickson to the Eagles out there in the universe like that and just freak out a lot of people in the NFL, but Philly, I'm sure, would not mind to see that happen. All right, Ryan, thank you so much. Appreciate the insight there. Reminder, CBS Sports HQ, we got you covered with everything you need to know inside and outside the NFL news, highlights, scores. It's all here on CBS Sports HQ.